Hi guys, this video is going to be all about the different types of ways we can write equations into variables. So we're moving away from just equations with just an x, and we're really focusing on equations with an x and a y. And with two variables, that means we're going to be focusing on two-dimensional situations, which is going to place us using the coordinate graph, the coordinate plane, in order to graph these and make sense of these equations and what they are. Okay, so to get started, we're going to talk about the three different types you are going to see. So the first type of equation we're going to talk about is the point slope form equation, and this equation is in the form y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. A couple of things you'll know about this equation, or you should know about this equation, okay? In this equation, m is always your slope, and x1, y1 are always points on your line. So everything we're doing right now is going to revolve around a straight line. It's a point that's on your line that you're working with. The regular x and y are going to represent any possible point on the line. The next form we're going to talk about is slope intercept form, and slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. This is the one we're going to use the most. It's going to be the most helpful, especially when we go to graphing, and we're going to do m is always our slope, and b is always our y-intercept. It's our y-intercept. So it's always a point 0 and a y value, okay? And then it is kind of in the name for these two. Point slope gives you a point and a slope. Slope intercept gives you a slope and a y-intercept. The last one we're going to talk about is standard form. Standard form is a little bit different. It doesn't necessarily give you this straightforward information. There's a couple things you need to remember about standard form. No fractions, so we never write standard form with fractions. And A is never negative, okay? So you can be asked to write any of these equations at any given time, given their given the other type of equation, given 2 points, given a point and a slope. It just depends. So point slope is kind of like our starting one, our kind of go-to one that we had to remember. If we get something in point slope, it's very, very easy to change the slope intercept. All you have to do is distribute and solve for y. If we can get it in slope intercept form, it's very easy to go to standard form. You're going to move x to the opposite side, get rid of fractions by multiplying by the least common denominator, and then always make a positive by multiplying by -1. And these are only when needed, and we'll talk about those in a second. So these are three types of equations. You need to know these three types of equations, especially slope intercept form. That is the most important one that everyone needs to memorize. So we're going to look at the different ways you write an equation depending on what you're given. We're not going to talk about equations of parallel and perpendicular lines just yet because we're not quite there. We're not quite ready for that yet. So if you are given an m and a b, if you're given an m and a b, so that's a slope and a y-intercept. So if you think about it, if I'm given a slope and a y-intercept, I'm going to use slope intercept form, because that's what I was given. Use slope intercept form, and you're going to plug in your m and your b into y equals mx plus b, okay? So an example of this, let's say that I gave you m is -3/4 and b is 7. So it's going to be y equals -3/4 x plus 7. Easy peasy. From there, I could go into slope intercept or to standard form. If I want it in point slope form, I would have to remember that this is the 0.07 and then plug it in that way. All right. How do I write an equation given 2 points? So always the first thing I need is I always need the slope. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the slope. So I'm always going to find the slope. This is what you were supposed to watch a video about last week. We're going to find the slope using m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So our first step is to always find the slope, and then we're going to go from there to the point slope formula. So if then we have 2 points in a slope, we're going to use the points slope formula. Okay, we're going to use point slope formula. And here's the thing. You can use either point, okay? So use either point. It's your preference. What I usually just use the first one. It's totally up to you. So use either point. So if we're given 2 points, we're going to find the slope and then use either point for point slope formula, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so I will work an example of this. So I'll work it out to the side so that we actually have enough space to do this. So this example, I'm going to work over on the left side. So if I was doing this, let's say it gave you the point, trying to make this a good one, 2, 3, and 5, negative 6. So first thing you have to do is find the slope. So we have x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're going to do m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So it's going to be negative 6 minus 3 divided by 5 minus 2. I always keep change. So I get negative 9 divided by 3, which is just negative 3. So my slope is negative 3, and then I can use any point I want. And I'm just going to use the first point. I always use 2, 3, the first point, x1, y1, and we're going to plug this in to y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what I would have is y minus 3 equals negative 3 times x minus 2. So this is if I'm finding the slope from, or the equation from 2 points. So it is a little bit of work. That's not terrible. And then from this equation, I can go to any other form I want to. And the last one we're going to talk about right this minute is find if I'm if I give you the slope and a point straight up. So this one time I don't actually have to find the slope. What do I do if I'm given a slope and a point to start with? Well, in that case, I'm just going to use point slope formula because you've given me a point and a slope. Pretty easy. Use point slope formula. Okay, so you use whatever they ask, whatever they give you. So none of these give you exactly what you need for standard form. So if anyone asks for standard form, that's when you have to do some work and convert from point slope or slope intercept into standard, okay? So this one, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so for example here, let's say that I gave you a slope of negative 1/2, and actually let's make it positive 1/2, and I gave you a point of 4, 5, okay? So I'm just going to plug it into point slope. I have a point and I have a slope, so this will be my x1, y1. So I'll do y minus 5 equals 1/2 times x minus 4. And there it is in point slope form. Now from there, I can go to any other form I want. So this is point slope, but if let's say I wanted to take it to slope intercept. So I would distribute the slope, and I'm going to come up here and work because I don't need this box just yet. So I have y minus 5 equals 1/2 x, and half of negative 4 is minus 2. And then I'm going to add 5 to each side. So I get y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Now I'm in slope intercept form. So this is slope intercept form. And then from here, I can go to standard form by saying minus 1/2 x minus 1/2 x. These will cancel. So I have negative 1/2 x equals, or plus y equals 3. But this isn't quite standard form because we have a fraction and that leading term is negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything by negative 2 because that's my denominator, and a negative will make a positive. So I'm going to multiply everything by negative 2. So a negative and a negative is positive. The 2's cancel, so I just have x. Negative 2 times y is negative 2y, and negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So now I'm in standard form, okay? So if I start in point slope, I can go to any form I want to. So this is just a quick run through of how to write an equation of a line given these different criterias. Obviously, if you're filling this out on your paper, I hope that you're writing all this underneath each box. We're going to fill in the last box later on, probably in class at some point. We will practice this a lot in class in all the different ways. But I hope everyone understands this, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.